One day, I was a bacher, and in those years, and I'm talking in the Juden, the Rebbe started the Inyan of a Faratz, Yom of a Kezma, to do Mivtzoyim, and so forth and so on. I was a bacher in the yeshiva, and one day, and I was very active, you can call it. One day, Rebbe Chadikov calls me in and says, the Rebbe would like to speak to you. The Rebbe would like to speak to you? Do I have to go into Yechidus? No. When the Rebbe goes out of Mincha and goes back to his room from the Beis Medrash, small Beis Medrash upstairs, wait by the door, and he wants to say a few words to you. Okay? I wait by the door. Mincha finishes, the Rebbe comes out and walks towards his room. He sees me and he stops. And he says these words, and I'll translate it right away. Moshe, and he always called me by my name. Moshe, I was able to be pale, to convince your mother that you should be able to sit and learn for another few years. And what happens? Instead of sitting and learning, you're taking part in a lot of different things, and you're not learning. If I'm going to sit and learn, Mommy, your mother will not be happy. It's only something that you could do. You have to sit and learn. This is something that the Rebbe was so important that what's the difference if I'm an older bacher already, age to get smicha and finished? No. The Rebbe was worried that I should be sitting and learning. He put it that my mother is worried and so forth. But the main point, he had in mind my stupid me that I have to sit and learn. To worry about my parnasa, he worried about that also. That came later. But in the years when I had to learn, this was the prime worry of the Rebbe, that I should be able to, and I should be sitting and learning. So this is what personally I received from the Rebbe. Another point, when we started Gad Yisrael, and what is a camp? A camp is to go in the summer and have a nice time. When the Rebbe spoke about it, and we mentioned it and so forth and so on, and the Rebbe then Shavuos, he spoke in the Sikha, he made camp not just a place where you go enjoy yourself during the summer. The actual words were that should be B'Brius Haguf, but also Brius HaNefesh Gam Yochad. That there should be health physically, but also spiritually. How? That it should give Yashpia al Chanichov. Camp has to bring an awareness and a great desire. Lehisofa b'hasmada u'shkida b'limud Torah seinu Torah Kedosha. In the learning of Torah. Camp is not just to get out of the city and have a nice time. From camp, the Rebbe said, there has to come a force to make greater the want and the learning of Torah that the children should have. And this is what really camp is. There were many camps, not many, but there were a few camps, but the learning of Torah was not the most important thing. Some had an hour or so of Torah, some didn't. But what Gan Yisrael, the Rebbe said, has to be a preparation and a strengthening for after the summer, that when the child comes back after the summer, he should have a greater desire and greater wanting to learn more and more and more. So this we see that the Rebbe was always in this idea of Limud Torah, which is the main point. All the inyanim, of course, there's mitzvah tefillin, mitzvah neshek, and so forth and so on, which aren't limud, but you would be surprised that these mitzvahim, what do they bring to? They bring to limud. Because the person who puts on tefillin, he becomes very curious. What is this tefillin? He wants to know. A person, a human being, doesn't just do. A human being has a body, but also has a brain. And everything that he does, he wants to understand. And therefore, the point of all the mitzvahim was limud. The point of the mitzvahim that they should bring the person afterwards to limud, to learning and understanding. Okay, now just another little point. Every day, the Rebbe had plenty to do. And every moment was precious. How many thousands of letters the Rebbe wrote was written for him. How much the Rebbe had, every moment was so important to him. And I remember we were Bachrim sitting in the Beis Medrash in 770. And the Rebbe came in the morning, and we were sitting and learning Seder Chassidus. He had nothing, he was not in the Hanhala of the yeshiva, that he was responsible for the Bachrim. But when he came to 770, I wouldn't say every day, but nearly every day, the Rebbe used to come into 770, and the Beis Medrash has two doors, if you know. There's the door of the Merkos, then there's one door, which the Rebbe sat next to that door when he went into Mincha. Then there's another door further on, and then there's a third door for the little room that is connected to the Beis Medrash upstairs. The Rebbe walked in. Instead of turning and going right into his room, he went down the hall and looked into the first door. Not just, he looked in to see who was there. He looked into the second door. He went into the third door because he couldn't see. The tables are hidden to see who's there. And when one of the Bachrim used to go into Yechidus, and he wasn't there when the Rebbe looked into the door, the Rebbe remembered and asked him, why weren't you by the Seder of Chassidus? Excuse me, I'm sure you understand that Rebbe had many, many more important things to worry about and to think about. He was worried that this Bacher was not by the Seder of Chassidus. So we were very careful to be there at the Seder of Chassidus. We didn't want to get a reprimand from the Rebbe. Why weren't we by the Seder of Chassidus? And this is what I'd like to give over to you. If we want to be Chassidim of the Rebbe, it's very important to be Eisik in Mivtzoim. But the tachlis of all the Mivtzoim is the learning. The learning of the one who does the Mivtzoim, and the learning of the one who is done, or you do the Mivtzoim with. And also, you can give this over to the women that you have shaykh to. When they go out to do the Mivtza Neshek, they should also, when they give the little tea light, the little candle to the woman to light it Erev Shabbos, she should mention, you know, there in English there's a code of Jewish law, and today in French and many languages. By this code of Jewish law, learn the laws of Shabbat. Don't just light the candle, but light the candle because it's Shabbat, and learn what Shabbat is and the importance of Shabbat. In other words, the mitzvah has to bring that the person should not only just light the candle and yetze gewen. No. Lighting the candle has to bring the person to Shmir Shabbat. How you come to Shmir Shabbat? Learning. So there's the idea of learning both by the men and also by the women. So I'm happy I had this very, very honorable occasion to speak to you. I hope we'll be able to meet with the Rebbe in Yerushalayim HaKodesh B'Korev. I hope we'll all be well and this whole pandemic will not bother anyone. Be just very, very careful. Shmartem ve'edel nafsheseichem. Don't be too wise, as we say. Be careful and follow all the rules and regulations of this whole big problem. And hopefully, by the time we'll be able to go to camp, this whole business will be over. And again, the children will be able to come to camp to be able to learn. I heard that in Montreal, the camp is opening, but in New York, the camps are not opening yet. Hopefully, by the end of June, the end of this month, the permission will be granted, and children who are stuck at home now will be able to get new strength to come back after the summer like the Rebbe wished, with their greater desire to learn and put themselves into learning with all their koiches and be geirem to bring a great nachas ruach to the Rebbe, because that is what the Rebbe wanted. He wanted a lot of things, but the main thing that he always wanted was the Limmud. So have a very nice summer, and hopefully we received from this Chag HaShavuos the greatest strength to be able to really we received Torah, not a dat, not a religion. We received a Torah, a book of learning, education. And this is what Am Yisrael received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't have a religion. We receive Torah's Chaim, an education for life. How to live Chaim, plural, Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, both worlds. This is what Torah's Chaim is. The Goyim have Torah, Chai. They live in this world and that's it. Am Yisrael has both. Chaim, this world and the world to come, but we have to go there. We have to have with us our passport. What's our passport? The learning that we did in Olam Hazeh. So be very careful, don't waste your time, and have a lot of hatzlacha, and bring back always good besuras tevis in all aspects, in physically and spiritually, and there should be the greatest nachas ruach to the Rebbe.